Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to this week's Amazon FBA News and Opinion, what we like to call Coffee with Chris. Welcome to Amazon sellers, resellers, flippers, thrill seekers, and profit lovers of all stripes. Let's dig into some news. We're going to be multi-streaming today from Facebook, YouTube. We've got Clubhouse on deck as well. So wherever you are, please absolutely smash the like button for the respective algorithms. Google and the Zuck really appreciate that. Eli, what's going on? Sarah, Jane, good morning to all of you guys over in Clubhouse. Bridget, Nicole, Greg, Tracy, Ryan, appreciate you guys all showing up. Janet and Marco as well. We've got some... It's been a busy week in Amazon, and so we've got a lot to get to. And then, of course, we've also got. We also want to take your questions. If anybody has any, make sure to drop them in the chat on Clubhouse. We'll be hanging out a few minutes afterwards to chat, see if anybody has any questions that we can help with or want to continue the conversation for a little while. So I hope everyone is having a fantastic Friday morning. But before we get started, coffee. All right. So the news this week. The very first thing, I heard a little rumor that there's a new email going around, and it is specifically for folks who sell date-sensitive products. And it says that we are contacting you today to notify you that we have removed your privileges to sell all date-sensitive products. And apparently, what's being said is if people get too many complaints about the date, or so you sell something where it's getting close to expiration, or maybe the customer just isn't happy with the amount of time period, and you get too many complaints, Amazon can remove your selling privileges. So you're going to want to make sure, as we all know, that your dates are good on your products. And of course, even if they are, customers can still complain. So it happens. Another little piece of news, and this probably isn't going to affect very many of you. But it will affect some people, especially maybe people selling on Amazon from overseas. But Amazon has a new payment service provider policy. And of course, it is in their continued effort to make Amazon the safest and most trusted store in the world for customers and sellers. They're launching a payment service provider program to protect customers and sellers from fraud and abuse. So what's happening is sellers that choose to use a payment service provider rather than a bank account to receive their Amazon store sales proceeds are going to be required to use a PSP that is participating in Amazon's program. So you'll still be able to use a payment service provider. However, it is going to be limited to the ones that Amazon approves of. And this doesn't happen until March 1st. So they're giving lots of notice. But if you do happen to be using one of these payment service providers, I would hope that you take some time and absolutely look into this. Make sure that you are doing it by Amazon's book. Next up, Amazon is offering, again and still, free live webinars from Amazon Small Business Academy. And I actually thought some of these sound pretty good, especially being able to get the information direct from the horse's mouth, if you will. So February the 8th, Amazon Small Business Academy has a webinar on fulfillment options. March 1st, business-to-business sales. If you aren't taking advantage of the B2B, you can do B2B pricing and offer discounts and things like that. It can really you can move multiple units, especially if you have certain types of products. March 8th, global selling. March 15th, Amazon Live. It seems like Amazon is trying to go a lot more video forward, and Amazon Live is going to be part of that. So knowing how to use that could be interesting. They're going to do a Seller Central dashboard overview on March 22nd. And then on April the 5th, there is a keyword optimization webinar that they're going to be holding as well. That news and the links are in your Seller Central news section. And so I would suggest if any of those sound like topics you would like to learn more about, especially direct from Amazon, that you get signed up for those as quickly as possible. Now, I think that we've talked about this again or once before, but I thought that it was important to bring it up again. I have not gotten this email yet, although I have sold and do sell some dietary supplements, but I had this email forwarded to me by a couple of people. And if you sell dietary supplements, Amazon is sending out an email that says, we are contacting you because you have listed dietary supplement products that have updated compliance requirements. Now, effective May 3rd, 2021, you will need to submit documents to obtain approval to list the affected products. If you do not obtain approval to sell these products prior to May 31st, 2021, we may remove these listings. And then it goes on and talks a little bit more about how to upload those, et cetera, and so on. Now, here's the thing. What we don't know is, are they going to require these from every single Amazon seller, or are they going to require them just once across the product and then it's good for other sellers? That we don't know. Hoping that's the case. And of course, I know that some people are split on whether or not you should sell in the dietary supplement category. We've done well with it in the past, so I certainly hope it is easier and not harder. But this is something that you should be aware of going forward, just in case you either get this or if you want to make a sourcing decision. Another big piece of news that happened this week, there was a screenshot of an email that came from Amazon to a seller requiring them to provide proof of insurance. Now, if you read Amazon's business agreement and their terms of service, if you sell up to $10,000 per month in gross sales for 3 months in a row, they require that you have insurance. It's $1 million of general liability. They require to be named as an additional insured, and whoever you deal with for your insurance can handle that for you. But just know that perhaps that is rolling out on a broader scale. We don't know yet. Of course, there's been no guidance from Amazon about when it will be rolling out or anything like that. However, if you do not have insurance, but you sell on Amazon, I would highly suggest that you do it. This is a business. It's important to protect your business and protect yourself when you sell physical products. So if you don't have it, I would suggest that you do it. It does not have to be very expensive. You don't have to have a crazy amount of coverage, but you do want to have at least what Amazon offers you. And it is a business expense, so it will be tax deductible as a business expense. Of course, talk to your CPA about that. But it is incredibly important, and you don't want to be caught on your heels if Amazon sends you the email asking for an update. Now, on to some good news, at least for Amazon. So Amazon had their earnings call this past week, and there was a lot of information that got dropped. One of the things that I found incredibly interesting is Amazon, for the very first time, had quarterly revenue of $125.56 billion. That's the first time that they've cracked the $100 billion mark in a quarter. A large part of it is due to the increased holiday shopping, of course, and also COVID. But they absolutely crushed going over $100 billion in a quarter. Earnings were $14.09 versus the $7.23 per share forecast by Refinitiv, and their revenue was at $125.56 billion versus the $119.7 billion that was forecast. A couple other things that I found interesting is the cost of shipping goods to consumers was remarkably higher. Their shipping expenses were up 67% from a year earlier to $21.5 billion. And then their advertising business, which is PPC and all of that you guys are familiar with. Amazon does not break out their performance of its advertising business, but it brought in $7.9 billion in revenue for the quarter, which was an increase of 64% from a year ago. And then, of course, as expected, any brick and mortar Amazon locations actually had store sales fall by about 8%. That includes Whole Foods Market in that as well. So I found that really, really interesting. Amazon absolutely crushed the quarter. Big shout to all of the Amazon sellers, because you guys were a big push behind those numbers. Now, the other piece of really big news is that the Dunder Mifflin Party Planning Company has got a big retirement party to handle. Jeff Bezos and Amazon announced that he is going to be stepping down from his current role, and he will be transitioning to the executive chair of the Amazon board. Now, there's a new guy coming in. His name is Andy Jassy. He'll become the CEO, and Jeff intends to focus his energies on new products and early initiatives, according to his email to Amazon employees. And I guess Andy is well known inside the company and has been at Amazon almost as long as Jeff has. Some of the interesting things, Amazon came out and said they want to reiterate that Jeff is not leaving. He's just getting a new job. He'll be involved in many large one-way door issues, as we say. One-way doors meaning the more important decisions, things like acquisitions, strategies, going into grocery, and other large-scale decisions. Of course, Jeff had a very touching, or as touching as Jeff gets, email to his employees thanking them, for their dedication, serving hundreds of millions of customers and businesses worldwide, and thinks that he thinks that Amazon is best positioned for the future, and they're firing on all cylinders, of course. So it was a good email. If you want to read that, you can read that over at the Amazon Day One blog. In some bad news for Amazon is going to be paying out a little bit of those Q4 earnings in a settlement with the FTC. This settlement was announced on Tuesday, and Amazon's going to be required to pay $61.7 million to the FTC to settle the allegations that it failed to pay its flex delivery drivers the full amount of tips received from customers. The FTC commission voted 4-0 in favor of the settlement. In the complaint, they say that in 2016, Amazon shifted from paying drivers the promised rate of $18 to $25 per hour plus tips to paying drivers a lower hourly rate. And so the FTC is going to chop up that money and give it back to those Amazon Flex drivers. Now, back to some good news. This is excellent news. The company Just Born, which is the maker of the infamous Peeps treat, says that Peeps will be back for Easter after a 9-month hiatus. Now, I know that the world is generally split on whether or not Peeps are a good confection or not, and everybody who thinks they are not can be wrong, and that's okay. But Just Born decided in April to stop production to protect their employees' health, but production is back in full force, and they're producing several old favorites, including 2 new flavors inspired by Hot Tamales candy and Fruit Loops cereal. So there will be opportunity to flip Peeps again, and and they'll be back in time for Easter. Jane says she hears Peeps are already back on shelves. From what she hears, I don't know. I haven't looked, but that just came out this week. I'm sure they've had some stock out on shelves. Now, the last thing in the stack of stuff today, yes, Peeps are the yellow marshmallow chicks or ducks. That's those. The last piece of news today is e-commerce related, but not necessarily Amazon related. It is earnings season, and so PayPal actually came out with their earnings, and I thought it was interesting. PayPal said 2020 was its strongest ever annual performance, and it processed a record 936 billion in payments, almost $1 trillion in payments, which is just mind-boggling to me. PayPal's processed payments in the last quarter rose 39% to 277.1 billion, with an additional 16 million net new active customers. And of course, Venmo, which is a PayPal service that allows individuals to send money back and forth within the U.S., processed 60% more in payments in the quarter as well. And quarterly revenue rose 23% to 6.12 billion, topping estimates by about 8 cents per share. So that is the e-commerce and Amazon news of the week. I will have to say there is one more thing I keep forgetting, but on Monday we begin the quartet, where this is number 4 of the OA Challenge. So if you are interested in a 14-day intensive learning about online arbitrage, I would highly suggest that you head over to oachallenge.com. The bonuses themselves are worth it, and we're also going to have a really good time for the next 2 weeks. So now I want to finish up. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, please drop them in the chat, and we'll answer those. And then, of course, Clubhouse, I'm going to come over to you guys as well after this is finished up, and we'll have a little chat there as well if anybody wants to talk there. Let's see. Good morning from Ireland. What's going on? Let's see here. What can you do if your account health is at risk? Amazon doesn't reveal what product is at risk. Well, your account health typically is not it might be because of a singular product, but that's a hard question to answer without knowing more. So I apologize. But I'll tell you what, if you want to message me, and we could, maybe a screenshot of what is causing you issues in your account health, I could probably point you in the right direction, or maybe point you to somebody who is better at that than I am. Bob says if you have an American Express Gold, they're giving a $30 a month credit for checkout with PayPal. That's awesome. Side Hustle Network, what's going on? Good morning. Good to have you here, man. Sam, what's Clubhouse? Clubhouse is a newer social media platform. It's currently iPhone only, but it's essentially you get on and you chat, and there's no video. It's just voice. MG says, hey, Chris, signed up for the OA Challenge. Excited. Didn't get an official receipt. How can I confirm I am good to go? Shoot me an email at chris@cleartheshelf.com, and I will get you taken care of. Christine, I'm curious how you manage your local purchasers. Do you give them an RA list or the ability to scan items? How do you pay per item purchased? Thanks. So we do a couple of things personally. Now, I only have one local shopper, and I pay her hourly. We tried a per diem, but it didn't really work out as the way that we wanted to. I do have some friends. I believe Eli, who is in the house, pays any of his shoppers on a per unit basis, kind of as a carrot to go out and grab more items and look a little harder. But I pay by the hour. I do give them items to pick up. They do some hybrid arbitrage where they buy online and pick up in store. They go out, they can do scanning. We have kind of a hit list of what they can choose. And then, of course, I'm available by text and messenger to be able to answer any questions on things that they might get confused about. And then I also have them using scan power so that I can actually see what they're scanning in real time. And if I know that they're going to be out scanning, I can check that and kind of spot check what's going on. Let's see what else. Yeah, so that's how I pay. And that's if you can give them a list, that's probably the easiest. But allowing them to know how to scan or using a scanner that gives them a thumbs up or gives them a thumbs down would be incredibly helpful as well. Are we going to get any discounted apps at OA Challenge next week? I just hired a VA, and that will be very helpful. Yeah, there's always discounts, and I don't have everything lined up yet. I still got the weekend to get that all figured out, but yeah, there will end up being some discounts in there. All right. Any other questions? Let's see here. I don't think that there are any other questions currently. All right, guys, I'm going to head over to Clubhouse, hang out for a few minutes, see if there's any questions or comments over there. Have a great weekend. We will be back next Friday at 9:30 a.m. to do Amazon FBA news and opinion or Coffee with Chris at 9:30 a.m. Same time, same place. Until then, guys, have a safe weekend. Be kind to each other. Wash your hands and as always, good selling. Have a good one.